Now that Drew McIntyre is officially the WWE champion, yes, they finally did it. We got to see, where is WWE going to take the title reign? Are they going to extend this to WrestleMania, or will they take it off of him at the Royal Rumble? That's what we're going to be talking about here today. And I've got news on LA Knight, who is supposed to be coming back. As a matter of fact, there are reports saying that he will be in Germany on, scheduled for Monday Night Raw this January the 12th. So that's something I'm going to be speaking about too. And we got news on, this is something that's been going around, and I thought I'd make mention of this as well. It's the William Regal tweet that apparently has gotten, controversy. Like, people have said a lot of different things about the tweet and saying that what he's saying is over the top, and then the other people that are saying that what he's saying makes sense. We're going to break that down today. And then CM Punk. So reports, a lot of people are saying that CM Punk is washed, and that his title match with Braun Breaker shows that his time is coming up. We're going to get into that, and then some more Vince McMahon news as well. We'll get into that too. But I want to start off first and foremost by saying SmackDown on January the 9th from, I believe it was from Germany. I can't remember the city name, the town name. That show, I think we all watched the show, and what we were looking forward to the most was the main event. It was great to see Trick Williams. It was great to see him interact with Randy Orton. I mean, seeing Trick, first of all, I'll say something about Trick that we all know. That entrance music, it screams superstar at you. Trick Williams, I believe, I think he's probably going to be more of a bigger star than we think. Like, sure, there's Carmelo Hayes, there's Braun Breaker, there's a lot of these other guys on the roster that Jacob Fatu. I think people are sleeping on Trick Williams. And I think that Trick Williams, I'd say, like, for the next 10 years, he's going to be in a main event scene. He's going to be in a main event spot. We say this all the time. A person's theme music is what either makes or breaks them. If the theme music is off to a bad start, it's really hard to take the guy seriously when they're on television. And Trick Williams, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear the music, I hear the crowd chanting along to his theme song, I can't help but get goosebumps. I can't help but get excited about what we're about to see. Trick Williams in the ring. And of course, the man cuts a great promo, in my opinion. And I think that, he's got the full package at this point. Outside of that, there wasn't much on the show. And then again, we get to the main event. I tell you, this main event, I'm so happy that we got this main event commercial free, and that, to be transparent with you, when I was watching it, it almost felt like it was a PLE main event, because I wasn't really paying attention to the commercials until after I found out, oh, wait a second, they had commercials throughout the show, but they didn't have any during this match. And from beginning to end, I thought it was a solid 3 stages of hell. The beginning match, we knew that the wrestling match was what it was. They ended that quick. Falls Count Anywhere. And then we went into the steel cage. And the steel cage is really where things started to pick up. There were moments where, I was thinking, like, there's a chance that Drew, could end up winning here. Of course, Cody kept kicking out. And, we saw because we're in the States here, we saw the rumors and we saw the reports that were coming out after the show was over in Germany. So we saw the fact that Drew had already won the title. I stayed away from those spoilers. I decided not to look at them. So when I was watching it on Netflix, and the thing is, I have Netflix, and so everything is recorded. And once it's recorded, it's put up there. So I go to watch it when I have a moment. And so I was watching it without the spoilers. Love to see Jacob back, and I, people have issues with the way the finish went down. Drew McIntyre is a heel, but at the end of the day, let's look at this way. If Jacob comes in to attack you, and then he's attacking the other guy because he's unhinged, you can't control this man, and the cage door is open. I mean, what is it you're going to do? Are you going to climb up the cage? Of course not. Are you going are you going to go back and attack Jacob and prevent him from attacking Cody? Of course not. Are you going to sit there and say, "No, I want to take a pinfall victory"? Of course not. At this point, Drew McIntyre did what everybody else in that situation would have done, and they would have left the cage with the title, and that's what he did. So, I'm more excited about the fact that Cody dropped the title. I mean, his entire title reign, I think the only guy he's dropped it to was John Cena, because Cena was on his retirement tour. At least the most noteworthy title reign that I can think of during Cody Rhodes and his ascent to the main event scene when he was champion. He dropped it to John Cena, and then after that, I mean, he won it back at SummerSlam. I think this title reign for Drew is very important, because now we look at Saturday night's main event, and we're looking at a potential fatal four-way match. Now, I mean, I got the matches here. Who could the four contestants be? Well, we have Randy Orton versus The Miz. I mean, in that situation, I think it's very apparent Randy Orton is going to be the one winning that. Solo Sikoa versus Damian Priest. This one, I believe I will go with Damian Priest, simply because he won that ambulance match with, Aleister Black. Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov. This one's interesting, because I feel like it could go either way with these two. I mean, they did have the U.S. They had a match for the U.S. title, and I believe this is where Ilya actually beat Sami and won the title. So they might do a situation where Sami beats Ilya this time around. And then we have Trick Williams versus Matt Cardona. This is the match that I'm looking the most forward to, because it'll be Trick Williams' debut on the main roster. And, I do not believe that Matt Cardona is going to be winning that match, simply because I'm not sure if the WWE looks at Matt Cardona as a guy that can be WWE champion. Of course, that's controversial for a lot of people, because they say, well, it's not like he's Zack Ryder. Cody Rhodes left the company as Stardust, came back, and is now WWE champion. So why can't Matt Cardona do that? I mean, it's a fair point to make. I just, at this stage of the game, I'm not sure if Matt Cardona is going to be given that opportunity, especially against a guy like Trick Williams. I mean, I just mentioned it, right? Trick Williams is a bona fide main event, WrestleMania main event. That's what he is, and it doesn't seem to me that he will lose against Matt Cardona. He will advance to the Fatal 4-Way at Saturday night's main event. Now, the winner will face Drew at the Royal Rumble. So at that point, we'll have Randy Orton, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, and Trick Williams. And now we're thinking about, who is Drew going to face at the Royal Rumble? If I'm really boiling this down, and I'm really looking at each of these guys' work they've done in the ring, and the potential for where we're heading into WrestleMania, I believe we could see Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Now, we could make a case for Sami Zayn too. Although personally, I don't really want to see Sami Zayn in the WWE title picture. That's just me personally. I would love to see Randy Orton face off against Drew McIntyre for the title. And I think that matchup would be incredible. Now, at that point, I mean, we could have a situation where um, Randy could beat McIntyre, and if he does, then we could see a situation. People were talking about Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. You could see that happen at WrestleMania. Of course, we've got to see some character development with Cody. Like, there's got to be something with him. Perhaps a heel turn is what is in the books. Now, let's say if whoever Drew faces, maybe it's not Orton, maybe it's Sami Zayn, whoever it is, let's say Drew retains the title. The question now becomes, will Drew take this title into WrestleMania? Because if he is, then the main events that we spoke about, I mean, we talked about the possibility of, um, I guess it was Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Of course, does that match need to have a title? Probably not. Again, we're not really sure where WWE is going with that. Of course, you don't just have a third match between these guys, Roman and Cody, just for the sake of having a third match. There's got to be something that they're planning here. So we're not sure if the title will come into play. Does Cody need the title heading into WrestleMania? We're not sure. Is the plan to give it to Roman Reigns? We're not sure. So let's just say if Drew wins the match at the Royal Rumble, if he goes into WrestleMania as champion, it'd be interesting to see who would he face off against. Could he then face Sami Zayn? Could we see a situation where Sami, like you compare this to the matches, the WrestleMania matches that happened in the past with Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30, with Kofi Kingston winning at WrestleMania 35, like these underdogs, could this be the WrestleMania, could this be the year of the underdog for Sami Zayn? So it'll be interesting to see. I think it's great to see that we have Cody in a situation where he doesn't have the title, because now it gives an opportunity for someone like Drew to shake things up for everybody. So that's going to be exciting. Now, speaking of returns and possible opportunities for change of storyline, LA Knight, as you guys know, he was taken off of television because he was destroyed by the Vision. And it's saying here, this is from Fightful, on Monday, January 12th, WWE will be in Dusseldorf, Germany. The PSD Bank Dome will be home to the second Raw of the year on Netflix, and it's one that could feature the return of LA Knight. So Fightful Select recently reported that LA Knight is scheduled to travel to Germany this week, and WWE will also be hosting a Road to Royal Rumble live event the next night, which is going to be happening in Mannheim, Germany. Now, knowing that Raw is in Germany, many have begun to speculate that LA will finally make his return. He's been notably absent since the Vision took him out. Last televised show was December the 8th, and he was written off later in the show and was said to be out indefinitely. So there's reports saying that he might be back. I mean, it's very hard to, when you're traveling overseas, unless you're, I guess, taking a private jet, it's very hard to keep yourself, even with that though, but it's very hard to keep yourself anonymous at international airports. Everybody gets the scoop early on, and I'm sure that if they already know this guy's traveling, they have the travel schedules of these superstars. They know who's going where and when. So if he's traveling to Germany, of course we know he's coming back. We're not sure when. The reports say as early as Monday Night Raw. This coming Monday. So we could see him there. And where would he end up? Well, there were reports going around that apparently WWE has something big planned for him. And as we're heading into Royal Rumble, the plan was apparently to have him perhaps win the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's what we were hearing as soon as, like, a few days after he was taking off a TV after that beatdown. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if he, like, apparently the beatdown people were saying that, well, LA Knight, this is killing off his character because the WWE doesn't see him as a major star. And then we got reports saying that, well, they did it for a reason because they actually see that the fans want LA Knight in this role, in this spot, and because of that, we're going to take him off of TV, have him absent, so that when he comes back, it's a bigger deal. We're going to have something lined up for him. I'm not sure what that's going to be. I mean, hopefully it's a world title shot. Um, Braun Breaker, CM Punk, that's likely going to be the feud heading into WrestleMania. People were saying if Braun Breaker likely will enter the Royal Rumble, he wins the Rumble, and then he challenges CM Punk. And this time it's going to be WrestleMania. That's likely how I see it going. Likely I see it being Braun Breaker. I don't think LA Knight is coming back to win the Rumble. If they do that, I will be shocked, and I will give WWE their praise that they've earned. Okay? Because LA Knight's been the guy. I mean, at this point, we know when he comes back, he's going to have a major pop. He gets so much attention, so much pop, so much reaction from the crowd year after year after year. It's like you got to give him something to work with, because if you don't, he turns into someone like Drew McIntyre before he won the title. Because he's a guy, and he's a babyface, but he's a guy that continuously comes out. He's consistent. He performs well, but he can't get the job done. So every time he's on promo now, you can't take him seriously because you're like, I don't even care. You're just going to end up losing again. You're going to end up coming out second best. So when you do that, you kill a character. Okay, that's one thing that we cannot have with LA Knight, because if that's what's going to happen, you might as well just have him go elsewhere. Now, I want to talk about, we were speaking about CM Punk and his match with Braun Breaker. So, Kevin Nash, he came out, and he's on his podcast, and of course there's been beef between Nash and Punk. We saw this on television. It's from like 2011 or so, but behind the scenes there was a lot going on then. And I believe CM Punk probably rubbed him the wrong way. He might still have issues with him. Kevin Nash might still have issues with Punk. I don't personally. I mean, the way he was talking, it doesn't seem like he was still giving Punk praise. Again, with these the news that comes out, they always take things out of context. Because he was still praising CM Punk for his promo ability and for, the being one of the top talents today, especially when he was cutting that promo with Braun Breaker on Monday Night Raw. But he did say that, and this is, quotes from him. He said, "I watched Punk in the main event of that match last Monday. Number one, if you're the heavyweight champion of the WWE and you wrestle in a t-shirt, ouch. Number two, his punches looked really slow. He looked slow. I think it's time for him. I think he's done." So, and then, Punk comes out and does the ultimate troll where, he's got a vest, he takes it off, and underneath that there's another vest. But you see, the fact that you can recognize he's a little bit slower. I'm not going to say that he's not. Age catches up to everybody. He's in his late 40s. I mean, you look at John Cena, right? Was John Cena in his final year, was he really performing to the level he was back in 2010? No. Could he still put on good matches? Yeah. Can CM Punk still put on good matches? Of course. This whole idea of CM Punk being washed. You see, if you saw the main event on Monday Night Raw, the Raw Netflix anniversary with Braun Breaker, there were moments where you were thinking like, CM Punk is moving a little slower than usual. Of course, there were spots where, he missed, Braun Breaker missed. That tends to happen in any kind of matchup. But overall, like, I believe he can still go, because you think about that matchup. Let's look at the entire card for Raw last week. I mean, what else was really exciting on that show? I mean, we had the women kick off the show, which was great. Outside of that, I mean, what other matches were there that you could think of that stood out? And of course, these are, I'm talking like matches from like, these are people on the main roster right now. They're week to week talent that work. They're on the full time schedule, and they're younger than CM Punk. Okay, CM Punk is still able to work the main event. He's still able to put on great matches, and he's still able to move around in the ring with someone like a Braun Breaker. Now, he probably has a warm-up routine that takes a little bit longer than it used to, and he probably has a routine to after the match is over, you've got to recover. It probably takes longer for him, as it does for anybody who is of that age and who's wrestling like he is. I mean, he's the world champion, so he's on the shows week to week. But this whole idea that he's washed up, I mean, I think it's going to be at least a few more years before you can officially say that CM Punk is done for. I don't think this year is the year. So to say that he's washed up, to say that he's done, people look at certain elements of a match. They look at one out of 10 things that might have went right in that match. They look at the one thing that messed up, and they say because of that, he's done. But that's just not true. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the world champion. He wouldn't be selling out arenas. Listen to the crowd reaction when CM Punk comes out. Every time the music hits, he gets a pop. He gets a reaction every time. There isn't a moment where that music hits and it's crickets. And that's the business that we're in. That's the business that they're in. To sell tickets. And he does a very good job at that. Now, speaking of being in the business of selling tickets, this is what we all think professional wrestling to be. And a lot of people have come out and they have criticized William Regal for making this suggestion, making this recommendation, sharing this advice, and reminding people just what this business is. Okay? I'm going to read you the tweet here. This was posted, when was this posted? December the 28th. So this was it was a couple weeks ago. And what he said was, I stay off here, but was alerted to something today that has alarmed me. I don't read any comments, so don't waste your time trying to argue or justify your very wrong opinions on this. I broke my neck twice. And this was in, I guess he said 93, in ring and in a car wreck in 97. And stupidly never told anyone. And I was taught properly how to bridge and not land on the top of my head. It's a skill that maybe 99.9% of the people don't know or will never learn anymore. I kept going somehow, but knew all the tricks that, again, people don't learn now and watch film and just copy. After Misawa-san passed from his neck problems, I thought it would stop this nonsense, but it's got worse. And whenever I talk to people about them doing it, they just say, well, it doesn't hurt. Believe me, it will. I have people close to me now, Brian Danielson being one, who is suffering daily like myself from his neck. It's a daily misery, and sleep and every other aspect of your life is more than hard. Although people use the term tough about me, you'll never hear me say that, as I'm not and don't think I am or have ever been. Money and whatever nonsense fame is supposed to be is not worth the pain or supposed to even glory you get from these ridiculous moves, dropping yourself on your head. The vast majority of fans don't know the difference between a vertical suplex and a brainbuster, and that's a far tamer move than many I see now. I'm 57, and become less relevant every day, but fame has never been my thing. So most of you doing this stupid stuff are not going to listen to me, but hopefully some of you do. Stop it now if you want a decent quality of life after wrestling, because that part of your life will be taken over before you know it. And wrestling done right is hard enough, but broken necks or death are not something you should think is tough or cool. It's idiotic thinking. Now, people said, I mean, a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to read all the comments. There's about 6.4 million views on this tweet alone. And, I mean, he said it himself. He's not going to read any of these comments because he knows what people are going to say, and he was right about them. You guys remember the spot. I mean, it was with Kyle Fletcher and John Moxley, and I watched that recently. Because I'm not a guy that watches AEW a lot, and it's a personal opinion. I don't like a lot of the indie style stunts that they pull in these matches. I just don't. Okay, they do all these like Texas Death Match. They do all these like hardcore rules. I'm not a big fan of it. And this is the reason why. The Kyle Fletcher spot, when you watch that in slow motion, I mean, if he didn't feel anything at that, like if he was like, yeah, it doesn't hurt, it's all good. I mean, that adds up, and it could lead to brain damage down the road. So to sit here and say that, well, because they're young, they can pull off these moves, and if they do get hurt, it's okay, they'll come back. The more you do that, the more you end up like Kurt Angle right now. And if you guys know Kurt Angle, I mean, he doesn't have feeling in his fingers and his arms. It hurts, and he's losing muscle mass, as you can tell. And that's because he's broken his neck 4 or 5 times. He kept going. I mean, these are testimonials out there of people who have been in the business and have, I mean, they didn't even know any better, but they're living this life today that the demands are way more to do simple things than the average person. To go to sleep is a pain. To eat food is a pain. To rotate your neck around is a pain. I mean, think about that. Like, doing simple things is a pain. So if you're sitting here and you believe that what William Regal is saying, he's out of touch, like he's beyond his years, it's time for him to give it up because nobody wants to take his advice, you're going to end up in a situation where you may very well end your life in the ring. And who wants to see that? Who goes to a show paying to go to a show saying that I hope I see someone die in the ring? No fan wants to see that. No performer wants to be in that position. So, as much as people have issues with, I guess, young guys who are coming up, making a name for themselves, using moves like this, I mean, unless you're that kind of person, this is the truth, and it's not wrapped in a bow. It's not sugar coated with icing and a cherry on top. It's said the way it needs to be said because people need to hear it this way. There's no time that we have that we can wait and say that, okay, this will eventually change, because people's lives are on the line. This needs to stop now. No more waiting, no more sitting here, this might change down the road, things might change down the road, No, it's got to stop. And that's what I said. I do not enjoy watching AEW. I'm not one of those tribalistic types. I don't sit here and say, well, if you like WWE, you cannot like AEW. Or if you're an AEW fan, stay away from WWE television. I don't have the bandwidth to sit here and talk about everything that happens in every promotion. I just stick to the one that's at the top, that gets the most news, that people talk about. So whether William Regal, is someone you're a fan of or not, strip that away and look at the quote, look at the tweet, and understand that. I mean, he has a picture of a neck here as well, and I believe this is his neck, his X-ray scan showing you what had to happen because of the time that he had broken it. You're putting screws in a neck to keep it adjustable. Otherwise, you'd be paralyzed. You'd be sitting in a wheelchair. And thank goodness he's not in a wheelchair. Or Steve Austin is not in a wheelchair. Kurt Angle is not in a wheelchair. So that's all I'm going to say about that. If you're somebody who has issues with that, there's nothing good that I can say about you because you're going to be the reason why these performers continue to do this, because the fans these kind of fans continue to advocate for this kind of wrestling, and they're going to keep doing it. So you got to understand, if you're a performer, as a performer, you think about it differently. But as a fan, we're fans. We need to understand they will do things when we talk about it on social media. They look at this stuff. WWE looks at this stuff. AEW looks at this stuff. The performers look at this stuff. They are their own man or woman. So when they see this, they bring this up and they say, you know what? Let's perform. Let's do this for the fans. Let's make this something meaningful for the fans. The reality of it is, a move like that is not going to be remembered. People aren't going to remember it because there's hundreds of other moves out there that people have done, and they've had to shorten their life because of the injuries they've sustained. So we're not going to remember moves like that. What we're going to remember is, did you get over in the ring? And if there's ways to get over, I mean, guys like William Regal, I mean, he's not talking out of his rear. Okay, there's been people on the roster in the past. They've gotten over, and they did not need to do these crazy moves that you see week in and week out. I'm going to go ahead and say it because I know a lot of people won't say it because they want to stick to the positive here. But guys like Javon Evans, Leon Slater, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, Braun Breaker, I mean, this is the future. These are the guys that are going to take the company, the WWE, into the future. And I'll be transparent with you. A lot of these, the talent, they use a lot of these moves, very risky kind of moves, to get over with the crowd, and they need to stop. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They need to stop. Just because you can reach a certain altitude as you jump off the top rope, okay, does not mean that that is the reason you'll get over, because eventually you're going to burn out. This is the wrestling business. You got to know what is going to help you get over and stay over while you're still able to perform in the ring. It's not what people want to hear, but it's the truth. And a lot of these young guys coming up, it's targeted at them because they're the ones that do this the most. So we'll leave it at that. Now, to wrap things up here, speaking of controversy, so Vince Russo claims that Vince McMahon is still involved in the WWE creative. Now, the reason why we bring up Vince McMahon is because there was a whole report based on text messages that suggested that Vince McMahon was still in power pretty much all of 2023 and essentially gave Triple H the reins I would say following WrestleMania, because at that point WrestleMania 40 was kind of, you know, put together already, planned out, if you will. So Vince Russo, I mean, look, I'm not someone who agrees with everything he says. Okay, for the most part, I don't agree like with a lot of these guys that are on podcasts and they're talking about the wrestling business. There's nobody that I can sit here and say I agree with every single thing they say to 100%. There's nobody. You know what? I even look at my content sometimes. I watch it back and I say, you know what? My mind's changed on that. You know, from a few months ago, I don't think that way anymore. So like, I don't even believe everything that I say. You know, after I've said it, because things have changed. You know, I've taken a different turn. I've looked at different things. I've read different things. I look at it differently. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a Vince Russo fan. I'm not a fan of nobody. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of the context here. Now, here's what he said. This was on his show. This was discussing his alleged continued influence even after the public fallout. Vince Russo says Stephanie and Triple H were supposed to come back for 90 days, and Vince was going to be welcomed back with open arms. The only thing that changed was Vince came back in 60 days. And that tells me they purposely voted against him to make things look good for the shareholders, but Vince still held the trump card. According to Russo, what seemed like a permanent separation was actually a carefully staged performance. There was no real heat, he says. This was all part of the plan. The way this looks, with the misguidance, the lying, the shenanigans, and the games being played with the shareholders, it looks very bad. And he didn't stop there. Russo pointed to specific segments on television that, this is in his view, tell you that Vince McMahon is still behind creative. Here's what he said. Did you hear the lyrics to Joe Hendry's SmackDown song? The entire song was built around Miz's tiny balls. What does that sound like to you? Who would be cracking up in the gorilla position over something like that? The former WWE writer was adamant that this kind of creative direction is all Vince McMahon. He said, give me a break. Give me 18 months. This guy's involved. Vince is somewhere slapping his leg thinking this is hysterical. Everything we've learned tells us he's never truly not been involved, and he doesn't, these comments directly challenge the company line. This is what TKO COO Mark Shapiro said. He said he doesn't work for the company, he doesn't work at the company, and he's not coming back to the company. What is the truth? Well, only time will tell. But look, let's look at the facts here. There was a segment last year, and it was with John Cena and Dominic Mysterio. Actually, John Cena wasn't here that day. John Cena, you guys remember that? The tiny man that came out, the small man that came out, doing the whole shtick. You know, the "you can't see me." I think they even had a mini stew, right, with the camera, and he did the whole thing to the ring, did the whole back and forth. "You can't see me." Kind of pretty lame promo, very basic. Who is known for putting on segments like that? And now we're talking about Miz's tiny balls, and this is something that continues to show up. I mean, R-Truth has spoken about this backstage during the segments. You know, Nick Aldis and all that. Like, these segments are still around, and I've always felt in my mind that sure, Vince McMahon might not be sitting in gorilla position, but are we to say that there is zero chance in hell that he's not somewhere else, like over the phone or on a Zoom call, speaking with the creative team, speaking with Triple H, speaking with Bruce Pritchard, you know, and putting elements of the show together, or having discussions about the show and seeing which way it should it should go. I mean, knowing everything about this company, everything about Vince, who he is, what he's done, and how long he's been in this position, are we to say that there's no chance at all that he has some semblance of control here? I mean, it's hard to sit here and say that he's not communicating with at least someone on the team, because you still see segments like this. So other people will say, well, Triple H is the guy that's approving it, and Triple H is, Vince's son-in-law, and Triple H is taken from Vince, so, this is Triple H booking. Again, looking at it from the inside out, we have no idea. But things don't always line up, because when you hear that the report suggested that Vince was still around when we thought he was gone, and then you have a statement from Mark Shapiro saying that he's not coming back to the company, these are things that are they contradict each other. So when there's a contradiction, somebody is lying. And this is exactly what, I mean, I feel as if there is some truth to this. Of course, Vince Russo was a guy, WWE writer who was working with Vince during the Attitude Era, and there was a lot of great things that he put on television. I mean, if there's one thing that I will give Vince Russo praise for, it's that he understood that this is a entertainment business first. Just like William Regal talking about, this is professional wrestling. We're not trying to go out there and kill each other. Okay, people don't pay to see that. No fan wants to see that. Vince Russo understood that part of the business is still true today. So what he says, being close to Vince, I mean, take it however you want, but when you look at the contradiction between the statements, between what was being said via, I think it was like email, text messages, and what TKO was saying publicly about the appearance of Vince, it makes you raise an eyebrow, and it makes you question what's actually going on. So that is, that's all I got for you guys today. I mean, there's a lot of news coming out. We being in the new year and also getting into Royal Rumble. We're going to talk a lot about the Royal Rumble. We're going to talk a lot about WrestleMania. This is the season, the busiest, I would say, season for WWE heading into WrestleMania. And of course, they're on their tour right now. They do at least one of these international tours a year. Typically, they're like 4 to 6 weeks long, and they're hitting every major country they can in the UK. I look forward to seeing what they do on Monday Night Raw. Of course, they have the Gunther and AJ Styles match, I believe. And SmackDown, it's going to be interesting to see who attacked Jacob Fatu. Who was it? Was it Drew? Was it Cody? Was it someone else? It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But that's all I got for you guys now. Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever new videos like this come up. I put out a whole bunch of shorts throughout the week. These are snippets from these videos that get you enticed to want to sit down and watch the entire video, whether you're at home, on the road, wherever it might be. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought, your thoughts on William Regal, Kevin Nash, Vince Russo, whatever you want. Drop it in the comment section below, and I will make sure to read them and reply as soon as I'm able to. All the best to everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.